Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, this is making weird noise again. Of course. Let's see. All right, how's that? No, that's still bad. Okay, there we go. Sorry, sometimes my audio decides to be weird still. Good afternoon, everyone. Mine's the Phoenix, and you are joining me either live on our live stream, streaming on Twitch and YouTube, or you are coming to us after the fact, watching the recording. Either way, welcome. I appreciate all the views on these videos and appreciate your guys' support. I'm pretty psyched. I just finished up our session 0 with our players this morning. We probably went for a good 3.5, coming close to 4 hours. It was really, really productive. Just good vibes all around, good laughs, good people to just interact with. I really, really like my players, and I'm really looking forward to playing a one-shot of LOTR5e with them. And I'm just so stoked. It was a really, really cool experience, and after that experience, I figured I would like to talk to you guys as viewers of my live stream to kind of give you guys a bit of a recap, some of the stuff I went through with my players, getting them ready for our one shot, as well as a couple tidbits that will be maybe inspire you guys as viewers and get you guys as stoked as I am. So buckle up. We're gonna get right into it here. I do have my coffee. I don't usually have 2 cups of coffee in a day, but last night was a bit of a doozy, and I had a bit of a migraine middle of the night last night, so I'm still recovering a little bit. Alrighty. So first off, I'm going to launch into what I launched into with my players, which is the history of the Shire. And apologies, this is going to be a bit of a narrative spiel kind of live stream. There's not going to be a whole lot of me babbling back and forth. I mean, of course, I'm going to babble a little bit, but it's not going to be anywhere near as babbly as it usually is. It's going to be more narrative-esque type stream. So I apologize in advance if it sounds like I'm speaking at you guys and not with you guys. Let me get all of my little thingies up and running here. All right. I hope you guys are ready. Regarding the history of the Shire. Let me just make this nice and centralized for you guys. There you go. Real pretty image. All right. Here comes the spiel. Though no one in the Shire recalls the time before they passed over the Bridge of Stone Bows, hobbits did not spring wholly into existence out of nothing. Ancient legends speak of a small, stout river folk that was driven out of the Anduin River Valley and made their way west. There are suggestions that during their long, meandering journey, they spread into the north realm of men, perhaps making their way as far south as the region now known as Dunland. Tales forgone by most, and often considered unreliable, claim that hobbits once swore allegiance to that ancient North Kingdom and took part on at least one occasion in feats of arms when evil things came out of dark places. It was after taking up brief residence in the Chetwood and the area surrounding the village of Bree that a company of hobbits petitioned the King of Men for land of their own. They were granted his leave to occupy an area of verdant lands and built a realm for themselves that would ensure a bountiful life, hopefully free of danger and woe. Led by the brothers Marco and Blanco, that company of hobbits crossed the Brandywine, claiming as their own domain the land ranging from its banks to the far downs, some 40 leagues west. They named that realm and all the surrounding land 50 leagues from north to south, the Shire. Originally ordered to maintain the great east-west road and the Brandywine Bridge as a service to the king, the Shire folk and their humble domain were soon left to their own devices. Even the title of Thane, granted to a single hobbit of worth who spoke with the king's authority, rapidly became little more than an honorific among local residents. With the passing of only a handful of decades, few recognized the existence of the Shire to be of any importance. Few, except the hobbits, of course. Free to tend to their own affairs, the denizens of the Shire prospered, and soon all the hobbits of the wide world took up residence within its borders, save for those few still making their home in and around Bree. This first generation of Shire folk would suffer greatly at the hands of the Great Plague less than 40 years after the foundation of the Shire, in the year of 36 known in the Shire reckoning calendar. But though the terrible sickness caused the death of innumerable hobbits and men alike, the resilience of the Shire proved to be greater than that of the North Kingdom. The days of the king were finally over in the year 375 of the Shire reckoning. The Shire became truly independent, though it mattered little to the world beyond its borders, save as a curiosity to the most inquisitive. Severed from larger history, hobbits continued their lives in peace and plenty for countless generations. Villages and communities seemed to flourish endlessly, their precise dates of appearance largely unrecorded in any local chronology. It is indeed due only to gossip and family history that we know that the Old Bucks, who could trace their lineage back to Bucca of the Marish, first Thane of the Shire, were so bold as to cross the Brandywine River, going east, and establish the community of Buckland, now home to Brandy Hall and the great Brandybuck family. It was Brandy Hall's founder, Gorhendad Oldbuck, who changed his family name to Brandybuck, in honor of his new community in the same year of its founding, Shire reckoning 740. It was during this same period of prosperity that Tobald Hornblower would learn the art of cultivation and smoking of pipeweed, an enduring art that remains almost unique to the people of the Shire even unto this day. Isengrim Took II would begin construction of the Great Smeals in Tuckborough in 1083, which still stands as an ancestral home to the Took family. It is also likely that in this time the messenger service, and later the quick post, were established to carry news between the ever-growing number of communities. No hobbit knows what prompted Golthimble and his goblin horde to descend from Mount Graham and cross the borders of the North Farthing. Instead, everyone from Michael Delving to Buckland knows that it was Bandobras Bulroar Took of Longcleave who led the hobbitry in arms against the foul invader in the spring of the year 1147, Standing well over 4 feet tall and capable of riding a full-grown horse, Bullroarer Took charged screaming across the green fields and straight into the goblin lines. With a single swing of his mighty club, he knocked the goblin warlord's head right off his shoulders. The head is said to have sailed straight over the entire enemy army, eventually landing in a rabbit hole. So terrifying was the sight that the entire invading force fled. Oh, and the game of golf was invented in that very moment as well. But the history of the Shire is not without its less violent troubles, and the first real threat to its existence came not from goblins, but from famine. The winter of 1158 saw the beginning of the long winter. The ground froze hard and cold, with ice that came in the early days of November and did not leave until the last days of spring. Crops were destroyed by frost, and the delays in the turning of the season left planting to be done late, if indeed it could be done at all. The days of dearth that followed claimed the lives of many hobbits for a full year, and it was long before joy and celebration returned to the four farthings. But perhaps it was this difficult time that reminded hobbits that they were of hardy stock and strong hearts, for they endured. Minor horrors continued to plague the Shire, accumulating in another terrible cold spell, known now as the fell winter of 1311. It was during this brutal season that the Brandywine River froze over and that dire white wolves came out of the north and crossed into the East Farthing. On that terrible night, the horn call of Buckland was sounded, and for the first time in almost 2 centuries, hobbits took up arms to defend their own lands from invaders. Though victorious, the losses of that battle were grievous, and combined with the famine from an absent growing season, the people of the Shire suffered many deaths. But hope often comes when unlooked for, and it was in that time that Gandalf, the Grey Wizard, came to the aid of many. It is believed by some that this kindness may have saved the Shire altogether, though few hobbits living now would make such a claim, considering that Gandalf is now seen as quite the disturber of the peace. In the decades following those dark days, peace and comfort became once again the rule of the Shire. The largest trouble to strike this green country in recent years was the disappearance and surprise return of Bilbo Baggins of Bag End. Once a respectable hobbit, he went off on some adventure with a troop of dwarves and the mischievous wizard Gandalf, only to return, nearly 2 decades ago now, astride a pony laden with riches, according to rumor. Since that day, Bilbo was officially considered cracked, and all sorts of trouble was attributed to him. Dwarves started to be seen more often on the great east-west road, and strange hooded wanderers were sighted by more than one bounder. And wouldn't you know it, since then that troublemaker Gandalf seems to appear and disappear about the Shire whenever he pleases, no doubt coaxing tweens and tooks alike into all manner of adventure, as he did that poor mad Baggins of Bag End. So as you can see, there's quite a history occurring here in the Shire. One thing to know about the Shire is the establishment of the Shire Reckoning calendar. While the rest of Arda, the world of the greater peoples of the men and elves and dwarves goes by a calendar known as the Third Age. The Shire is not concerned with the outside influence of men and elves and what occurs by their calendar. Theirs is a simpler calendar, established by their notable feats of hobbits. And in the year that the Shire was established, so too was established the Shire Reckoning calendar. And so when you're looking at a calendar, you can always tell what year it is by the Third Age by adding 1,600 years to that of the Shire Reckoning. And here in our story, we actually have the story taking place in the year 1360 by the Shire Reckoning calendar, or 2960 by the Third Age. So that's a little bit about the Shire Reckoning calendar. Second here as I copy text. Just realized I didn't adjust the way that Shire history was set for you guys. Sorry about that. So yeah, that is our history of the Shire. I'll go briefly into what I call my variations for 5e system, which basically goes through a bit of the differences between Lord of the Rings 5e and D&D 5e. I won't go through all of it. I did have a stream dedicated to all the different stuff that's occurring here. But I just did want to take a couple minutes to highlight for you guys a couple of the key differences between the two systems that might be important for you guys to know as viewers, so that you're not confused when you're watching the stream. Coffee is good today. Very, very good. Alrighty, so first off, the Dungeon Master, or DM, is known as the Lore Master in Lord of the Rings 5e, and our player characters are known as player heroes. There's a few changes in terminology between the two systems. Some important things to note. So our races in Lord of the Rings 5e are called cultures. And in this particular adventure that we're going to be running, this first one-shot here, the cultures that our players are going to be choosing are of hobbits. So this is a hobbit-based adventure. There are 3 different types of hobbits: Followhide, Harfoot, and Stoor. Of those 3 hobbit subcultures, some of them are more keen on swimming and riverboating and water vehicle proficiencies. They're more the Buckland type hobbits, whereas some of them are more dwarf-like. They're more friendly with dwarves. They're more likely to get into working with weaver's tools and that kind of stuff. And then some of them are more artistic and into the spoken word and musical instruments and that kind of stuff. So those are the 3 subcultures of hobbits. All of our players in this adventure are going to be hobbits. In later one-shots and later hopeful campaigns, there's going to be a lot of other cultures opened up for us, but we're starting off small. We're starting off in the Shire because outside folk are not a commonality in the Shire. They're not seen with trust. Their appearance leads to a lot of suspicion and can really affect the way others interact with them. And in the interest of the story that we're trying to tell with this first one-shot, a Hobbit-based adventure is more up the alley of our players here. A couple other things. Instead of classes, Lord of the Rings 5e utilizes callings. So there are 6 different callings available. We've got your captain, champion, messenger, scholar, treasure hunter, and warden. In our group here, I think that we're going to have probably a captain, a champion, 2 messengers, and a scholar. That's just based off of our conversations this morning for our session 0. Obviously, that's not set in stone for our characters, and I will let them actually introduce their characters and give you a chance to get to know our new characters when we actually start our one shot here. But there's some really cool stuff about them. So, captain, I would equate to be very similar to a paladin. Champion's a bit more like a fighter, and scholar is a bit like a bard. Messenger is a strange class or strange calling because it's not too much like any of the different classes available in D&D 5e. It's got some elements similar to rogue, some similar to bard, and some similar to I would equate it to kind of a artificer. It kind of reminds me a bit of an artificer, but it's not any of those. It's its own separate entity, and I'm really excited for you guys to see the characters that our players are making, because it's so exciting. There's so much cool stuff happening here. Couple variations in callings. So instead of level 10 or level 20 as the maximum, level 20 is the maximum. So a level 1 player in Lord of the Rings 5e is going to be more powerful than a D&D 5e level 1 player. Spellcasting is not available. They're not playing Astari. Wizards and sorcerers are not commonplace. They're not going to be slinging spells all over the place. We get rid of a few skills, so there's no Arcana, History, Religion, or Survival in Lord of the Rings 5e, but instead we have Explore, Hunting, Old Lore, Riddle, and Travel. A lot of those come into play during the exploration or the travel system in Lord of the Rings 5e. I'm not anticipating that we're going to actually see a lot of the travel system for our one-shot, so it's something to keep in mind when we get to that point, maybe in future one-shots here. Oh, hi, Kaha. Welcome. So we probably won't see that in this one-shot, but hopefully as we make more one-shots and maybe even a campaign, you'll be able to see all the different cool characters and cool mechanics of this Lord of the Rings 5e system come into play. And one mechanic that I'm really not sure if it's going to come into play during this one shot or not is our Shadow Path. So Shadow Path is predefined by the calling that our players choose. So it's not something that they make up on the spot. And Shadow Paths are like a better version of the D&D 5e flawed system. So they actually have a way that these impact the role play and the storytelling and the mechanics of the players. Essentially, your shadow path is how you become susceptible to the shadow. And as you become more corrupted by the shadow, you begin to descend further and further and further into its influence and further along your shadow path. As dread, misdeeds, greed, and sorcery weigh on the player heroes, they're going to accumulate shadow points. When those shadow points reach half of their wisdom score, they're going to get a new condition called miserable. And miserable it affects the number of fellowship points available to the players. So they have a pool of points that can be used essentially like inspiration. So a player that's got the miserable condition is going to reduce the number of those points available to their fellow players. What was I going to say here? I was going to give you guys the full description of the miserable condition here. So in addition, if a miserable player rolls a d20 and the roll is a 1 or a 2 on that d20 die, it fails regardless of the DC. So it's an automatic failure. And that applies for any ability check, attack roll, or saving throw. When their shadow points continue to accumulate, eventually it's going to meet the value of their wisdom score. And when that occurs, your players are going to get a second condition in addition to their miserable condition, and that is called anguished. And an anguished character has disadvantage on all ability checks, attack rolls, and saving throws. And once they become anguished, the only way to get out of this is to have a bout of madness. And this madness is a violent outburst that usually occurs and results in something that the player hero is going to regret. Something important has to happen. And when they lose that, when they experience that bout of madness, a few things happen. First thing being their shadow points reset. So we go from equal to their wisdom score to back down. But what occurs is they instead get a shadow scar. And a shadow scar is a permanent shadow point. It can't be reset. It can't be done away with madness. And it does count against the number of shadow points that they have. So you can imagine the more scars you have, the easier it is to descend into madness. With our player heroes, every time that they experience a bout of madness, they're going to descend down their shadow path. And there's 4 different levels as they descend down that shadow path. And each level has different elements to it that play into the role playing, so how they interact with the world, how they interact with their other player heroes, and how they interact with others in the world. So strangers or quest givers, even how they might approach a situation. So maybe if someone's particularly greedy and they come about, Smaug's treasure, they might just be concerned with getting their hands on that treasure and making away with as much of it as they can, regardless of, putting their other player heroes in danger, regardless of their own safety, regardless of the giant dragon breathing down their neck. This is all just stuff that continues to accumulate. And eventually, with the player heroes, when they reach the bottom of their shadow path, they succumb to the madness. So if they were an elf, they could return to Valinor to be healed of their sadness and their misery. Because we have hobbits here, they're going to only be able to, when their shadow eventually gets so high, they eventually succumb to that madness. So they go off into isolation and die of starvation. They are exiled by their fellow hobbits. They something results in their threat, whether it's by an outside force or themselves. Just give me 1 second here. I will be right back. I just need to take a 5-minute break here. I'll be back. Apologies for the delay. That was longer than intended. Baby requires attention. So now I have a baby here with us. Alrighty. So we were going through a couple quick little variations with the Lord of the Rings 5e system. It's not comprehensive. I did a more comprehensive overview of this in a previous stream, but I wanted to give you guys a quick overview of some of the more important points. So we finished talking about shadow paths and callings and cultures. A couple other important things that will, I think, apply here to the one-shot we're about to run is coinage. So in Lord of the Rings 5e, gold coins are very valuable and very rare. Most of them come from the fabled treasure of Smaug. And so to hold a gold coin is quite a thing. It will get you noticed by people. It'll get you maybe unwanted attention from folks, because maybe someone wants to know how you came across such rare treasure and thinks maybe you have some more of it hiding around somewhere. So something to know about coin in Middle-earth is, like D&D 5e, 1 gold is equal to 10 silver, 10 silver is equal to 100 copper, etc. That exchange rate has not changed. The difference is that the value of things has scaled down. So something that would be worth 10 gold pieces in D&D 5e is actually worth 10 silver pennies in Lord of the Rings 5e. That's not a complete across the board rule, but 9 times out of 10 I have found that to be the case. So if you're looking for a quick value trade-off, that's a really good place to start. The other thing that I'll just mention is magic items are not a common thing. What we have is two different systems for rewards. One is called rewards. So those work kind of similar to feats. They can be applied to regular weapons, armors, and shields, but they are tied to the player's level. So they get their first reward when they reach 3rd level, and then again at 5th, 7th, and 9th level. And those can be applied to, a leather shirt or a regular shield or a sword or a great bow, any of those kinds of things. Then we have what's considered famous weapons and armor. So those have their own system, and those would be more closely attributed to a magic item. But those are quite a bit more rare. Usually famous items and famous armors, famous weapons and famous armor is not just given out for any generic deed. You can't just go walk an old lady across the street and expect her to give you, the sword of Elendil or something like that. That's just not how it works in Lord of the Rings 5e. After defeating, achieving great feats, someone may give you a famous weapon or a famous item of armor, famous shield, that kind of thing. It's not something that every NPC is going to just have in stock to give at every curve in the road, but it is something to be aware of as existing in the world. There is famous weapons and there is famous armor, and those have their own really cool feats. It's like the reward system for regular items, but greatly exaggerated. And they're kind of like rewards in that some of the bonuses scale up based on your level. But I'm not anticipating that rewards and magic items or famous weapons and famous armor are going to come into play in this one-shot. That's something to be more aware of come the future one-shots and future campaigns. So that is a overview of the variation between D&D 5e and Lord of the Rings 5e. Now I'm going to go into what our story hook is, because I think that that's a really cool, whoopsie, as I close down everything. I think that I'm pretty excited about the story hook. I think the players are really excited about the story hook. It's completely homebrewed. I based this off of stuff that I found in Free League Publishing's Lord of the Rings role-playing system and Lord of the Rings Shire Adventures book, but this is not a campaign that you will find, or a one-shot you will find in the existing source material. This is just something that's come out of my brain based off of the things that I've read in these books. So take with that a grain of salt, if you will. Tokino, Sora, hi, it's going good. How's it going with you? Yeah, I'm kind of reading chats on and off. This is more me narratively spieling for a while about some stuff related to my upcoming one-shot here, but I read the chats on and off. It's not something I'm against doing, just not doing a huge back and forth on that. Yeah. So going into our one shot here. So let me bring up the my spiel. I didn't have this prepared ahead of time because that would be too convenient. All right. So, going into story mode now. Our story takes place in the Shire in the year 2960 of the Third Age, or 1360 by the Shire reckoning. It has been 18 years since Bilbo Baggins disappeared one spring morning, only to reappear a year later and interrupt his own estate sale. The extraordinary tale that he told of traveling with the wizard Gandalf and Thorin Oakenshield to Wilderland on the other side of the Misty Mountains and somehow defeating a dragon seemed nothing more than a fairy tale to the other hobbits. Yet the Shire is not without its own set of adventures. Since the disappearance and reappearance of Mad Baggins, the peace and comfort of which rules the Shire has been disturbed time and time again by all sorts of trouble. Dwarves are starting to be seen more often on the great east-west road, and strange, hooded wanderers have been sighted by more than one bounder. Even the Grey Pilgrim seems to appear and disappear whenever he pleases. It all sounds rather adventurous, but adventures make you late for dinner. Such things are beyond the worries of the Shire, where much more substantial concerns abound. At the behest of apprentice Hamfast Gamgee, The party has been called to a festival in honor of Master Gardener Holman Greenhand in Frogmorton. With a set of skills and experiences matched by none in the 4 farthings, Gamgee has enlisted their services as judges for the pie baking competition. But strange things are afoot at the festival, and there has been a most unfortunate turn of events. Can the party salvage the day and restore order? Coming up on our Lord of the Rings 5e one-shot of ill fillings and miscrust. Da da da, da 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 da. Sorry, baby noises. I hope that's all right with everyone, because baby woke up from his nap early. Yeah, so I got a chance to introduce our plot hook to our players this morning during our session 0. I'm really excited. I preface this by asking our players, hey, you know, before I even went into our plot hook, what's a reason that your character might be considered an expert on pies? And some of our players, you know, kind of forgot about it. Some of them have been thinking about it since I mentioned it all those weeks ago. But it was really, really fun to be able to theorize with all the players about what possibly is the reason that they, out of all the hobbits in the Shire, could be considered a expert on pies. So that was a lot of fun this morning, and I think it's my first shot at doing a whodunit type one shot. I've never done a whodunit before, so I'm pretty stoked to see how it plays out, and maybe I'll be surprised. Maybe it'll be more complex than I anticipate. Maybe the players will solve it right away. Maybe they'll be like, hey, it is obviously this person who's at fault here. We will see how it goes. Tokino, where are you from? I'm from Canada, actually. So I'm not sure where you're from, but the northern neighbor of the Americas. Interesting. Welcome to the chat, Hoofy. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Tokino, I'm a professional visual artist. I appreciate the offer, but no, I'm not interested. I appreciate the offer. I think it's always good to support our local artists. USA. And sorry, forgive me. I am very not up on the times for my states. Is Illinois? Is that a state? I'm sorry. No. It's all good. It's all good. I am remedial when it comes to my state knowledge. Texas, nice. Welcome to the chat. Illinois, Texas, awesome. Very cool. Welcome. I appreciate everyone's viewership. Yeah, no, I'm from Western Canada, so some people say that I have an accent. I don't really think I have an accent, but I guess it depends on what area of the States you're from. Sorry, my baby is making adorable noises. I hope you guys enjoy this this background noise. But yeah, anyone here familiar with Lord of the Rings 5e? Or are you more familiar with D&D 5e? What's everyone's familiarities? Yes, he's got a lot of opinions. He's got a lot of stuff to say about this whole thing. He especially wants to take hold of the microphone and make his opinions known, but little grabby hands will do bad things to the microphone. Trying to keep him away from the merchandise as long as I can. I'm a longtime player of 5e, and Lord of the Rings is my fave story, but never did TTP. Or that's completely fine. I, for the longest time, was only a D&D 5e player. I DM'd D&D 5e as well, but for the most part, my experience has been as a player. I would say I've played more than I've DM'd. Being in multiple campaigns and doing multiple one-shots and that kind of stuff. Lord of the Rings 5e is not so far of a stretch from D&D 5e. A lot of the same concepts apply to both systems, but the changes honestly changed the feel of the system. It goes from feeling like a sort of a wizards and magic kind of game to being a Hobbit game. It gives you a feel of what it's like to live in Middle Earth. The changes that they've made from a DM perspective, or from a lore master perspective, as they call it in Lord of the Rings 5e, is, I think, great balance. Couple examples is tying your items to your character's level, as well as they did away with spellcasting in Lord of the Rings 5e. So you're not going to be playing in a starry. Magic is few and far between in the Middle Earth for running these campaigns. But it's just an amazing system. They first came out with Lord of the Rings role-playing, the core book. And with the core book, they came out with what was called the Shire Adventures, which was a little bit more of a laid-back adventure book. So obviously it had a bunch of material covering everything you needed to know about the Shire, and that's what I based a lot of this one-shot off of, is the stuff within that book. But then they came out with Ruins of Eriador, which covered everything you needed to know about, landmarks and different areas around Eriador. And then they came out with Tales of Eriador, which was provide some campaign material, so some one-shots. I think there was 5 or 6 different one-shots, and usually you play them in a row, one after another, for the Tales of Eriador, to explore all the stuff that was covered in the Ruins of Eriador core book. And then rather recently, within the last few months, they came out with, let me get the proper name for it, because I use the names of them interchangeably because of the system, but they recently came out with Moria, Shadow of Khazad-dûm, and that one is, it's a core supplement, so it's more of the area of Moria and some of the history of it, and that one's a very cool book. And there's been rumors from Free League Publishing that they might have a Moria adventure book coming out, which I would be so excited to read, because even reading the Moria book itself is really cool. There's a lot of very interesting stuff. I would say you could make an entire campaign just going through Moria. It's just amazing. But yeah, Free League Publishing does all these books, and it was based off of, initially Cubicle 7 did, I believe they called it Adventures in Middle-earth, but then they lost the rights to it, and it was given over to Free League Publishing, and they had another system called the One Ring system. And the first edition of the One Ring system was by Cubicle 7, but then when the rights went over to Free League Publishing, they did second edition of that system. And a lot of people love the One Ring system. I would say most people who have played both systems say that One Ring is better equipped for the Middle-earth universe than the Lord of the Rings 5e one is. But I would say as a player of D&D 5e, Lord of the Rings 5e was a bit of an easier learning curve for me. And I think it's well done either way. Like, I wouldn't say that Lord of the Rings 5e is ill done by any stretch of the imagination. It is very in-depth and very lore-heavy and very detail-orientated. It's just a cool book. Like, you read through it, and as a lore master, I get all sorts of ideas just reading through the different areas and different tidbits available. Closest I'd say to experience Lord of the Rings as D&D was reading the comedy webcomic DM of the Rings. I'm not familiar with that one, actually. It sounds good, but... Yes, baby. You are very cute. It's an old one. Uses the Bard ED system, or B3. I'm sorry, I'm probably mispronouncing that. Very funny. I highly suggest giving it a read sometime. I will. I'll check that out. That sounds right up my alley. I love stuff like that. Little web comics and I don't know, Lord of the Rings, anything gets me excited. And especially right now with doing a Lord of the Rings one shot, I'm just hyper fixated on the topic right now. It was around 3rd edition. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I've only ever browsed some of the traps in 3rd edition. I'm not familiar with 3rd edition at all. I think I went into the traps because I think that if I remember right, I think someone had told me once, oh, 3rd edition has a lot of details and it's a lot of information overload, and they have a really complex trap system. So I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. So I opened up Google search to find a bunch of stuff from 3rd edition to help build I was doing a skill-based one-shot once upon a time. It was awesome. Like, there was so much variety available. It was around for a while. Yeah. No, I'm a very detail-oriented person, so like I think if I had been around when 3rd edition was at the peak of its popularity, I think I probably would have really liked 3rd edition. But because of when I got into D&D, I got into D&D with 5th edition, and now I find it confusing to jump between different editions. What's your favorite edition, Hoofy? Thank you for the follow, Sandwich. I appreciate it. 5th ED definitely dumbed things down. In a good way or a bad way? Both are enjoyable. Yeah, I can see that. I really enjoy 5th edition, but like I said, I think I would have, if I had gone into 3rd edition first, I think I would have liked 3rd edition more. Are you much of a DM, or do you just play? At the time, I was old man grumpy about it changing things up. But I do enjoy 5th edition now that I'm used to it. Yeah, I don't think I don't think that says anything about you, though. I think as human beings, I think we're all opposed to change. That's why there's such a big focus in professional environments on education over change management, that kind of stuff, because people are naturally opposed to any change. Even me, like I know D&D, 1 D&D or 5.5 or 2024 or whatever, however you want to call it, this newest edition that's coming out. I personally am opposed to learning anything about it, partly because I know I won't be able to differentiate between that and 2024's version, so I don't want to confuse myself. But the other thing being that I just don't like change, and I personally wish that if they had done this new edition, that they would have named it as a new edition. Leave my 5e alone kind of approach to it. But player, tried to DM once, but my work schedule got in the way. Halfway through the campaign, managed to get them to level 9, 10 in a 1 to 20 game. 1 to 20 is a pretty hefty level range. I've only ever done a campaign that went through, I think we leveled up maybe 3 times. That's for me DMing. As a player, I have a few different experiences, but it took a while to get players through that amount of level ups. So good on you for maintaining a campaign that far through. I think especially for a 1 to 20 campaign, that's a long haul campaign. It's really difficult to get to the end of something that's quite that time consuming. Yeah, it was ambitious. My end game bad guy was going to be a fictional god of the humans that had been imprisoned by the 100 gods of Greyhawk. Oh, that's cool. So it was like a homebrew setting, or like I should say a homebrew campaign, maybe not a homebrew setting. That's really cool. No, good on you. I think that's awesome. Of the campaigns I've run, I've never done a full homebrew campaign. I've done homebrew one-shots. One-shots I've always found to be easier for obvious reasons. Less note-taking on my part as the DM, and less tracking. Mr. Melty Brain. Thanks for the follow, Mr. Melty Brain. Yeah, I've always enjoyed running one shots though, because I find you can wrap up everything neatly. My sorry, baby's doing cute baby things. I've always thought that I could be ambitious enough to do a full homebrew campaign, but it's a big commitment, and I don't know if I could ever fully do a complete homebrew setting. I could maybe do like a mixed setting. Probably the best advice I've ever gotten was, it doesn't have to be 100% one way or the other. It doesn't have to be 100% homebrew or 100% pre-written module. You can pick and choose things when it comes to a campaign. So you could have like an 80-20 split, or a 50-50 split, or maybe a 60-40 split. Picking and choosing what you want to put your effort into to creating brand new, and what you want to maybe sit back and relax, or maybe you like the pre-existing stuff as it currently stands. That I used that advice when I ran my campaign, and it made such a difference, because I think if I would have ran a complete as-written campaign with the campaign I was doing at the time, I don't think I would have enjoyed it, because it was kind of rough. And I think that if I had chosen to write a completely homebrew campaign, I think I probably would have given up after a couple sessions, because there's a lot that goes into coming up with brand new story hooks and just making an immersive world. Gods like Pelor couldn't actually answer miracles, but their divine power could still be absorbed and used for divine spells, leading to corruption of dogma in all religions. Church of Pelor had turned into bloodthirsty zealots, burning heretics like Salem witch trials on crack. That's hilarious. I mean, it's scary. That's a lot, but that's really, really cool. I love that premise. yeah, this one shot, I'm not doing anything quite so dark with it. It's a little whodunit, but it's not your typical murder mystery, type one shot. It's got a twist on it, and I won't spoil anything, but it's light-hearted enough because it's the Shire. A murder in the Shire, that's pretty extreme, but you can still have a whodunit adventure without having a full-blown murder, and that's what this one shot's based on. Someday I'll try again. Yeah, I think it's important to be able to take breaks when you need breaks, when time constraints or just motivation run out. To fall back in love with the game again, to fall in love with your homebrew world or the story you're trying to tell. I immediately blame the Saxfield Bagans. It could be. You never know. I know that when I first mentioned to my players, hey, it's going to be a whodunit, they said, it's the Saxfield Bagans. I was like, let me just write that down. They done it, especially that thieving Amelia. Lobelia? Just making away with the spoons. I just love it. I love, and the thing about the Shire is everyone's so suspicious of one another. Yeah, Lobelia. I think that it's the perfect setting for a whodunit because everyone's suspicious of everyone. I have shamed myself. No. It was autocorrect. It's Twitch's fault for auto-correcting that for you. No shame. But no, I'm so excited to run this one shot. I think like my players were really excited when we did the session 0 today. I was really excited to just be able to tell them something because I've been kind of going out of my mind. Oh, AutoMod, don't be. AutoMod's getting angry. I need to obviously fix AutoMod so that it doesn't block your message for emoji. Let me see if I can fix that right now. I'm sure I can. Let's see. Settings. Give me a minute or two to find my AutoMod. Symbols. Where's symbols? Hope you guys are enjoying baby noise hour. Very happy. Here we are. All right. All right. Turn that off. Okay. That should be better. AutoMod shouldn't strike you now when you use a little emoji. Hopefully that's better for you, Foofy. I hope it didn't like block you from anything. Maybe I should check that as well. I don't know, Hoopy, if you're able to send a message just so I know that you're not blocked. I'm trying to find the list in this bot, but it's difficult to navigate. A little more difficult than I anticipated. Oh, goodness. Ooh. I might have to leave here shortly. Baby is needing baby attention. We'll see how much longer I can do this for. Okay, I'm not sure if that helped. I'm still learning how to use all these auto mods and everything. I wish that there was an easy way to remove warnings. It probably is. I probably just don't know what it is. This is just devolved into baby sound stream. Sorry, I wish I knew how to fix it here, but not allowing me to figure out how to remove warnings. I will have to look into that. I'm sorry, Hoofy. I hope it didn't actually end up blocking you from saying things. But if it does, I apologize for that. Yeah, so that is a quick overview of everything from our session 0. Obviously, it's missing some of the conversations we had about like expectations and safety, pet peeves, hard stops, table rules, that kind of thing. That stuff is a little bit more private, so it will remain in the session 0, just between me and the players. But if you guys are interested in watching the Lord of the Rings one-shot adventure that we're going to be running, give me a follow. Like, share, subscribe. I'm streaming on both Twitch and YouTube for this one-shot adventure. So, you know, there's lots of opportunities for you to watch it on your preferred platform. If you have any interest in watching it, I do try to post when I'm going to be streaming. When we actually set a date for our one-shot adventure, I will be posting it on my Blue Sky. Blue Sky's a lot like Twitter, except it's not Twitter. So if you want to follow me on Blue Sky, I will post information about when our session 1 is for our one shot, and I'll try to have some more live streams like this. Maybe not this weekend because of some other priorities, prior commitments that I have this weekend, but I will do my best to get on here fairly regularly to give you guys an opportunity to ask me questions, to share your own excitement, to share your experiences with Lord of the Rings or D&D 5e in general. But yeah, again, thank you all for watching. Thank you for those of you who have joined me over the live stream, who followed me today, who've chatted in the stream chat, and thank you to those of you who are watching the replay of the live stream. I appreciate everyone's views and everyone's support, and we will talk with you all next time. Have yourselves a good rest of your day. Take care.